People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. Alright, yeah. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite March 17th, 2021 review. This was a good show. It was a decent show. There's some things I didn't like about it, but mostly overall I enjoyed the show very much. It had a little bit of some boring spots here and there, but otherwise this wasn't a bad show whatsoever. Not as good as last week's episode, but it was still pretty decent. The first match on the card was Pentagon Jr. versus Cody Rhodes. Pentagon Jr. ended up losing this match to Cody in a very shitty fashion, and this was a good matchup until the ending. The reason why this match was bad for the ending that it had was Cody's bad arm that has like some protective covering on his shoulder. Pentagon Jr. took his arm and snapped it backwards, making it look as if he broke his arm or snapped it out of place or something. And he ends up, celebrating, taunting, whatever way you want to put it. And he was, taking up valuable time to just go for a pinfall or do something else on the offense on Cody Rhodes, but unfortunately he just decided to taunt. In the middle of that taunting, Cody just managed out of fucking nowhere to grab him from underneath, roll him up, and get a roll-up pin for a 1-2-3. And you're going to convince me that Cody was strong enough with his bad shoulder to hold him down so he couldn't kick out? I mean, come on, guys. That's just the most retarded thing. You'd have to be an idiot to buy into that. That is really a terrible way to end a good match like that. That's really my only complaint about the match. Thankfully, this was just the opener of the show. This was not the final, match of the night. So I'm kind of glad that wasn't the case, despite the fact the ending was absolute trash. But like I said, the match was decent. After the match was over, Penta attacks and swings away on Rhodes' shoulder. Gunn Club and Dustin Rhodes show up to make the save as Penta taunts them at ringside, and QT Marshall walks out to the stage and asks Cody if he's okay. The group is asking QT why he wasn't out there to help in the first place, why it took him so long to even show up. This storyline with QT Marshall, it's irrelevant, and nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about QT Marshall. Let him just get lost. Who gives a fuck? This QT Marshall thing is pointless. I don't even get the point of them even, highlighting anything going on with this guy. It is such a waste of time. So backstage, Alex Marvez notes Pac and Rey Fenix still have a tag team title shot against the Young Bucks. Matt says they may have lost singles matches to their challengers, but this is a tag team match, and they are still the best team in the world. Callis shows up and asks them how their dad is doing. They ask how his eye is doing, and Callis says he was just faking that black eye, but felt like maybe they should have kicked him. Callis says Matt and Nick aren't the same guys he saw in New Japan Wrestling. This was a very nice segment with Don Callis and how he was used in this whole situation. He's actually trying to get in the head of the Young Bucks, and I don't know if he's trying to motivate them in this segment or he's trying to literally say something discriminating against them or put them down, or just to insult them in some fashion here. So, like I said, he doesn't see the same guys that he saw in New Japan Wrestling. Matt and Nick may have found this company, but he doesn't see anything elite about them anymore. Don continues that they have killed their careers in letting others take over. Callis mentioned Kenny Omega, says he's way up high, and those two are down in the basement at this point. Thus, why he doesn't pay any attention to them now. Callis says they are just another tag team in fancy tights that are living off of their name at this point, and then tells them to look in the mirror and ask themselves if they really are the same guys who dominated in New Japan Wrestling. Again, like I said, I don't know if this was an insult and putting them down or this was some motivational speech. It was very confusing. As time goes on in the show, though, you kind of notice that it was more of an insult. So, you start to notice some things going on here. Now, what happened during the segment they show up later on, I don't know if that really was the end, like signaling that the Young Bucks are not part of Kenny Omega's group, or is there a sign that they still gonna join with the fucking Kenny Omega and Don Callis' group here? So only time is gonna tell at this point. Jade Cargill versus Dana Jordan. This was just highlighting and making Jade look really well in the ring. She is a fantastic performer. If there is anyone on this roster that deserves to be the AEW World Champion in the women's division, it's Jade. She is fucking good. I don't care if she's facing a fucking, jobber or not. This woman looks tough. She looks like she could kick some of the men's asses. And she's really a fantastic performer. I definitely see her becoming women's champion later on this year. Thunder Rosa, by the way, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but Thunder Rosa has got something cooking for herself, which I'll get into once we get done with this review. I'll explain what's going on with her. But yeah, Jade definitely looks like someone that's going to win the women's title later on this year, hands down with no problem. So post-match, Cargel goes right out to ringside and says something to Red Velvet. Velvet swings and Cargel dodges it. The two jaw some more as the referee gets Cargel to head to the back. Last week we see MJF's new group take out the Inner Circle, which was magnificent. Later on, we get a promo by these guys. It's actually immediately after the video package of them destroying the Inner Circle. MJF's promo was magnificent. Their new name is the Pinnacle. That is the name of their faction. My thoughts on the faction name, I think it's very simplistic, very straight to the point. Nothing fancy about it. It's just what it needs to be. And it's not copying off of some other previous factions in the past. So that's another good thing. The name Pinnacle sounds pretty good. I like it. And I gotta say this. He highlighted on every person in that group, like as if Triple H was highlighting Randy Orton and Batista himself and Ric Flair when they started the Evolution group. I absolutely could not believe what I was seeing. Personally, I kind of see MJF as the next Triple H in the future as a heel. I think this guy is going to be a limelight stealer. He's going to want everybody's eyes on him, and he is going to probably gain, I'd say, about 5 to 6 championships, 5 to 6 championship reigns, and all of them pretty much being a decent title reign on each reign that he has. Probably 6 months to a year type of situation. More than likely. And that's just me guessing. Maybe I might be wrong. Who knows? Unless this guy sustains a severe injury that's career-threatening, this guy has got a long career ahead of him and definitely has the skills to provide a long-term look at being the franchise of AEW. And I definitely can see that now, especially after this fucking promo. This guy has been great the whole entire time. Yes, he's a prick. Yes, he's a person I want to hate. And yes, he's a person I want to see get his ass kicked still. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. Where credit is due, because this guy is great at making people hate him. He's a very hateable guy. And it's just unbelievable how he can get people just dislike him so much. And I think that's a really cool aspect of his character. The only thing I hope for that later on in his career he ends up doing is he becomes a face. And I really wonder how he's going to be like playing a likable character. Because he's great on the mic. There's no doubt about it. The guy is amazing on the microphone. But at the end of the day, is he a person that can legitimately get people to like him as well as hate his guts? Because right now, all I'd like to see that motherfucker do is get his ass kicked. Because he's just an annoying little prick. And to be quite frank with you, you guys may hate me on this, you may not. If they took The Miz and made him more serious, I could see him being the exact same way as MJF. Because I see very, very similar characteristics between these two guys. Only if The Miz was more serious than the way he is on WWE. I don't like The Miz whatsoever. He is not even hateable. He's just mind-numbingly annoying. And personally, he's get off my TV type shit. He's not somebody I want to see on my television. But MJF, he is what The Miz would be if he was taken more seriously. I mean, this guy is amazing what he does. And he does a fantastic job. So let me get into what he had to say during this promo. MJF's group comes out to the ring. Tully gets on the mic, and I got to admit, Tully Blanchard, he's fucking amazing for a guy his age. I think he's like in his late 60s, early 70s. The guy is fucking unbelievable, and him doing all this kind of shit that he's been doing on AEW. But my God, man, he's been amazing. So Tully gets on the mic and recaps last week's attack. He says they are the pinnacle of wrestling right now. Tully says he started with the greatest group of guys. He plans on finishing out his career with the greatest group. MJF gets on the mic and he calls himself Judas. MJF says he's the most charismatic guy in the wrestling business and had to stand behind Jericho for 6 months. He did what he had to do and deal with Jericho's comedy bullshit, but he was plotting the whole time, which was fantastic work what they did, because at the end of the day, if you really look at the whole long-term build towards this, Tully Blanchard was trying to build his own group, and he finally got the face of his group, which is MJF, which is amazing. This was a year-long build. They first started this, actually this is longer than that, this is like almost 2 years. Tully Blanchard first got Shawn Spears. Then he moved on to the FTR group. And then finally when he got them, he kind of just worked with them a little bit. Shawn Spears was off television. But then as we got closer and closer to this whole faction group with MJF, Shawn Spears reappeared and started hanging around with FTR and Tully Blanchard. So at the end of the day, if you really think about it, this was all built up since 2019. That's an amazing, amazing job by AEW to build such a story like this going almost 2 years. That is fucking awesome. I mean, they didn't hype it up every week and month to month or anything. They kind of slowly but surely, if you paid very close attention to the details that was going on during this build-up towards this final completion of this faction, that's what Tully Blanchard was doing the whole fucking time, which was amazing. So MJF says Jericho never saw what was coming because everyone thought MJF was just trying to take over the group. Ultimately, he wanted to kill the Inner Circle from the inside and build an even stronger faction. MJF says the group is known as the Pinnacle. He then runs down each member of the group and hypes them up. MJF then gets himself and says after only 1 year, he's the most talked about guy in pro wrestling. He continues that he has another 25 years in the business, and when it's all said and done, Jericho won't be the GOAT anymore. It will be him. MJF closes with his "I'm better than you and you know it." I thought that was a great promo. A fantastic job by MJF. I've said this enough fucking times anyway. But literally, they look like a kick-ass group, number one. And if they do it right, they will build that momentum that they already got. And I hope they continue to do that because they need to. I'm very happy what AEW did here creatively, though. They did not have the Inner Circle show up, attack, or do anything. They tried to sell this attack that they did last week into this week's episode. I thought that was a fantastic job. If you want to stretch it out for another week, not have Inner Circle show up on Dynamite next week either, I'm okay with that. But after next week, 2 weeks from now, they should have the Inner Circle back on Dynamite, explaining how they must feel about what happened and how Jericho must be very sorry to the entire group and his horrible decision-making in allowing a douchebag like MJF to join their group and almost annihilate their entire team and destroy what they've built for the last almost 2 years as a team. So that's definitely something that's probably going to be talked about. I don't know if it's going to happen next week or the week after, but it's a great job by AEW to sell that whole situation that happened last week. Kudos to them on that. We have Matt Hardy, the Blade, Butcher, and Private Party with the Bunny going up against Jurassic Express and Bear Country. This match wasn't all that important. Matt Hardy wins the match with a twist of fate on Marco Stunt. So Marco Stunt eats it. Matt Hardy didn't do a whole lot of anything during this match except for the ending. So that was pretty much that. Marco Stunt, I don't know if he was selling that or Matt Hardy's an extremely strong bastard to be taking a guy like him and throwing him around like a fucking rag doll. But he looked like he got his neck broken, for all I know, because it looked pretty bad the way he landed on that mat from that twist of fate. So backstage, we had a segment with Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. They're actually getting ready for their tag team match tonight. Moxley says he's not feeling super good after what happened at Revolution, but it's time to go to war again. Moxley says it's time to fix the real problem. That's the Good Brothers. Moxley then mocks them a bit and says he doesn't like them. He says they're like good old country boys. Yeah, pretty much considering them to be fucking rednecks. And it's not just because he wasted money on talking shop a mania. Kingston then says, to get a bit more serious, this isn't the Impact Zone and this isn't the Tokyo Dome. Wow. Taking shots at the two companies that are actually kind of partnered up with him a little bit, or at least share some talent once in a while. He calls Doc and Carl cowards, and a coward dies 1,000 deaths. Moxley and Kingston are soldiers, and they only die once. So, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing if you die once, but at least if you die once, you only experience the pain one time. Dying 1,000 deaths, you feel it 1,000 times, so I don't know, but you definitely get a bunch of opportunities to live compared to what a soldier would get, but hey, what are you going to do? So, backstage, we have an interview with Christian Cage, and he's asked if what brought him to AEW. Okay, obviously, it would probably be the fact that they give them some little bit of creative freedom. They don't have them reading scripts or sounding like fucking robots or having no opportunity to excel and succeed as a professional wrestler. Those are just some of the things I'm throwing out there before I even read what he said in this segment. But let me just read what is written down here by Wrestling Incorporated for the Dynamite results. So Cage says when a wrestler busts his ass inside a ring more than anyone else in the roster or on the roster, that's called a workhorse. Cage says he is the workhorse in professional wrestling, and if anyone forgot about that over the past 7 years because he hasn't wrestled for a long time, he will remind them quickly when he gets in the ring. Cage then says there's only one spot that interests him, and that spot is accompanied by Kenny Omega, and then Cage says he's got to let Omega... What? Cage says he got to let Omega last week? He got to Omega last week. He's on borrowed time, and we'll see him down the road. But first he needs to pick up a few wins in AEW. Holy shit, they fucking hurt us. I don't believe it. I think I'm going to pass out from fucking logical booking here. I don't freaking believe it. They actually have him. I'm just acting here, but I'm just trying to be humorous and entertaining. But yeah, they actually did something that was right. And I came on here last week and I said, why the hell is he picking up the World Heavyweight Championship? The guy hasn't even had a fucking match yet. Let him have some freaking wins first, and then let him get his ass kicked by Kenny Omega and get his world title opportunity. But let him earn the shot first, not just pick up a fucking title and say, ooh, I'm challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship. Get the fuck out of here. You gotta earn it first, dipshit. So they had him say the right thing here. Tony Khan apparently heard us. The fans didn't like it. I mean, I've heard a bunch of fucking other YouTubers say the same shit I did. I felt like as if I was hearing myself. Yeah, I mean, seriously, this was good. This was a very good promo, and it touched on what we were talking about as fans and how we felt about this. This is not something, he's not a Bill Goldberg, and of course Bill Goldberg doesn't deserve world championship opportunities. The guy doesn't perform on a weekly basis or even show up here and there throughout the year and perform in the ring and actually pick up wins to earn a shot for the world title. So, yeah. I think that's completely insane. And I thought they were doing the same thing here. Thankfully, they did something right. Now let them have a fucking match on Dynamite and rack up some wins here, huh? Please. So anyway, Cage then says he's in AEW to cement his legacy and put to action 3 simple words. Outwork everyone. Buddy, you're not going to outwork everyone. Kenny Omega can run circles around your fucking ass. Hardcore, singles action, whatever. It don't matter. He kick your ass and beat you and retain his championship. There ain't no fucking way Christian Cage is winning the World Heavyweight title. If he does, I can't watch AEW Dynamite anymore. I can't watch AEW anymore. I'm sorry, folks. Christian Cage, Edge, I don't give a fuck. Either one of those two motherfuckers win the damn World Championship on either promotions, I'm done. I cannot sit there and watch a bunch of old fucks who want to come back, create some excitement for to end their careers, because I will admit both of them didn't have a good ending to their career. It's one thing to want to have a good ending to your career. It doesn't have to mean you win a world championship. Okay, that's all there is to it. I feel a little bit different than Christian Cage. I wouldn't mind him winning the world title, but him beating Kenny Omega of all people? Hell no. Hell no. Find a different champion for Christian Cage to go up against, and then I'll say something different. But when it comes to Kenny Omega, hell no. Fucking Roman Reigns? You gotta be out of your goddamn mind. That guy is the best guy going in WWE. He's the only reason why I watch SmackDown. God, man, he's the only reason why SmackDown's any good. Outside of Big E and Apollo Crews, they're a good mid-card group that are telling a good story. But, I mean, everything else, who gives a shit? But I'm okay with Christian Cage to become world champion, but not against a guy like Kenny Omega. You want to make Christian Cage turn into a fucking dick later on after he's racked up a bunch of wins and go up against a babyface and have him winning a dickhead win, turning him into the ultimate prick, and have him champion for a month or two, or a couple of months or so, just to give him a decent run with the title, that's fine. But if you want to go ahead and have him beat Kenny Omega, I can't watch your product no more. You're just as fucked up as WWE. And if they don't make Edge win, but they make Christian win, then you're more fucked up than WWE, and I'd rather watch WWE than at that point, which is pretty fucking sad coming out of my mouth, but I'm sorry. I mean, Christian has no business winning the AEW World title if Kenny Omega is the champion. Sorry. It doesn't work for me. Anyway, we move on to Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston against the Good Brothers. This pretty much was mostly a brawl in the beginning portion of this match slash segment. The reason why I say match slash segment is because of the fact that in the beginning portion, before the match even started, the Good Brothers came out of nowhere and attacked them during their entrance. And they got a nice little ass kicking. It started the match. They worked on them. And Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston pulled off a victory here, which is the second loss the Good Brothers have sustained between Impact Wrestling and tonight. They lost the tag team titles on Impact Sacrifice. And now they just lost another match against Moxley and Eddie Kingston, which isn't good for them. And they're getting a rematch, by the way. I found out. I watched part of the Impact Wrestling episode from March 16th today while I was working because I didn't have to make a lot of phone calls doing my job today, thankfully. And I tried watching some of the episode, and I found out that they're getting a rematch for their tag team titles against Juice Robinson and David Finlay at Rebellion on April 24th. So we probably will see the tag team titles on Impact around the Good Brothers waist again. So I don't know why they took the titles off of them to begin with. It made no sense to me. We then had Moxley. Yeah, I already told you guys the actual match itself, the ending. Moxley got a roll-up pin and a cradle pin and got the 1-2-3 easily. So that was pretty much that. And then Omega shows up with a chair around Moxley's throat. He actually puts a chair around Moxley's throat. The Good Brothers and Kenny Omega beat the hell out of Moxley. And then the Young Bucks run out and tell Anderson to get down. Omega tries to get up and do it, but Matt gets in the way. Good Brothers want a too sweet, and Young Bucks are jawing with Omega, and as Kenny joins the hand gesture, and Matt and Nick say no way and walk away from the ring. Omega spins Matt around and puts Too Sweet right in his face. The two sides yell at each other some more as Moxley finally wakes up and swings the chair wildly at Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. This clears out the ring, and Kingston is demanding the doctor and referee to get him in the ring with Moxley, but they won't let him go in because of his injury. What injury that is, I have no idea. Kingston finally claws his way in to talk with his friend as we go to a break at that point. So, it seems like Kingston has got an injury I wasn't aware of during this match, which I didn't particularly like. We then had a segment with an interview with Sting and Darby Allin. Sting and Darby Allin were talking about the matchup from Revolution, I believe. And then Darby Allin started discussing about his TNT championship run. He's not very satisfied with the situation that's going on with him as a champion. He only has 3 title defenses. The fans were cheering for him for that. And he said, I don't particularly like that. I want to be a fighting champion. I want to do what Cody Rhodes did. I want to start going ahead and having title defenses week after week kind of situation. Or at least defending it most of the time when he's on the show. So his first title defense is going to be against John Silver from the Dark Order. I think he issued a challenge to anyone from the Dark Order. And he said he wanted to challenge anyone from the Dark Order to go one-on-one with him. So that was a situation there. We then had Taz's team come out and discuss with Sting about something. And then Brian Cage took the mic from Taz and said, I don't need you to talk for me tonight. I'm going to do my own talking here. So he actually congratulates Sting and says, he disagrees with Ricky Starks. With or without the bat, he sees him as the icon Sting. He has earned his respect. He issued out a handshake and shook his hand. This is not looking good. It looks like Brian Cage is leaving Team Taz at this point. The whole entire team was pissed off at the comments that he made, which I don't understand why the fuck at this point Sting hasn't earned their respect. They don't have to turn face or anything, but I mean, my God, the guy got in the middle of a match and he hasn't wrestled in fucking forever, since 2015. Guy shows up, he performs, whether it was taped or not. You know, if it, you know, I understand it was a cinematic matchup, but the man could have gotten hurt doing it cinematically anyway. So, I mean, let's get real with ourselves, people. But yeah, I mean, the guy was able to do a cinematic match very well. He didn't look like he was having any issues. He looked like he was pretty much going. I mean, I can understand they probably took long breaks in between maybe to, you know, do this whole entire thing, but that wasn't such a big deal. So I got to admit, it was kind of surprising that they are making Brian Cage look like he's turning face here. So Scorpio Sky had a video package. Sky says he's done everything he needs to do to become the face of the company. Sky says, nice guys finish last, and that won't happen again. He will not be someone else's stepping stone. Sky says if he has to hurt someone to do it, so be it. So we have a new persona for Scorpio Sky, being a heel like prick. Scorpio Sky, my friend, you are a fantastic wrestler, but there is a lot of good talent. You got a long climb to the top, buddy. A long climb. There ain't no shot in hell you're getting a world title match yet. Do I see him becoming world champion someday? Maybe, if he can last as long as he possibly can when he's suitable enough to challenge for the world title. But the way they've been using him, he's on and off for like ever, from the get-go when they started this damn company. He hasn't been consistent. So, I mean, they're not utilizing him consistently every week to convince me that he's worthy enough to even challenge or sniff a world title match. So, that is on AEW's creative part. So they gotta pick things up and get this guy, you know, with some matches, airtime, cutting some really good promos, getting into some good rivalries that mean something, building his way up to that opportunity to become a challenger for the World Heavyweight title. So they need to get that going first before they even can consider him being a number one guy or saying he's the face of the company. I mean, come on, let's get real here. Angelico versus Rey Fenix. I think I said Angelico's name incorrectly. If I did, I apologize. So Rey Fenix wins this matchup in a very, very decent, looked like about 5-10 minute match. Wasn't very long. But yeah, Rey Fenix gets the win here with a sit-down pile driver for the 1-2-3. We then get Alex Marvez talks to Miro in the gym. I love what they did here with Miro, but Kip Sabian talked for him as well when he walked away, which I didn't particularly like. But at the same time, that's some good news as well, because that will more than likely lead to Miro and Kip Sabian to have a match one-on-one, so we can split these two guys apart. There was some good words said by Miro. Miro said, look, I understand you care about your wife, but we were in the middle of a match. I'm not going to worry about your wife, your drama, or your bullshit. We're good friends outside the ring. In that ring, I'm worried about one thing and one thing only, and that's becoming the absolute best. And speaking in words of World Championship mentality, I guess you could say. Trying to find the right words to say here, but yeah, he pretty much was saying he wants to become a world champion. He's tired of sitting in mid-card hell and doing absolutely nothing with his career. He wants to move on up. It's time to stop worrying about everyone else's shit and start worrying about himself and getting himself into that top tier level within the company so that he can get some opportunities for that world heavyweight title. Because sticking around with Kip Sabian and doing all this other bullshit he's been doing ain't cutting it. It ain't getting him where he wants to be. Now, Kip Sabian said he wants to do the same thing, and he wants Miro to have that same thing. He cares about him as a friend and, as a co-worker. So he definitely would like to see him a world champion someday. Which I thought was nice, but Kip Sabian, buddy, he ain't giving a fuck about you or your wife or anything. The only thing he cares about, and his eye is on the prize now. It's on the World Heavyweight Championship, which is what he should have been doing from the jump. From the time he showed up in AEW, that's what he should have been doing. And instead, they had him doing all this other Mickey Mouse bullshit with Kip Sabian. Now, I won't lie. I said that maybe they could have started him out in the tag team division with Kip Sabian and maybe have them have a title run with the world tag team titles at some point down the line and then have them break apart and have Miro go do his own thing at that point. Give him some kind of championship on his shoulder or something just to kickstart him. And then move him into the singles competition, but they never even got him even close to a tag team title match with Kip Sabian. A lot of people say they didn't like Kip Sabian and Miro together. They found their relationship to be pointless. Which, to each his own on that one. If you didn't like the idea, okay, fine. It's totally up to you. But I saw some kind of potential of them becoming like a really good tag team for a little bit and giving Miro an opportunity to at least hold some gold before he moves on to singles competition. So that is pretty much it. And then at that point, Miro walked away and Kip Sabian, Miro wanted to move on from this whole matchup with this arcade brawl situation that they're doing. And Kip Sabian said, okay, fine. And then he walks off and Marvez asks him, so are you guys not accepting this challenge or what? And he goes, no, we're accepting the challenge. And that was the end of the segment. I'm like, what? You were setting him up for this match, yet he said he didn't want to be part of it? What the fuck? This is stupid. They need to get this guy, Miro, to kick his ass and move on. This is bullshit. Then the main event was Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in a lights-out, unsanctioned match. This was an excellent matchup. Yes, there was some mishaps happening during this match. There was some little bit of hiccups here and there, like the placement of the ladder when they tried to do a fireman carry off the top rope onto the ladder. The ladder was a little too close to them. They had to be very careful and hesitant, not going like full motion and go full force. Because if they would have, Thunder Rosa would have thrown Britt Baker off that toss. So she had to change it up a bit. I think it was Thunder Rosa who did the toss. I'm not sure. Trying to remember. Let me see here. Yeah, Rosa bulldogs Baker's face into the ladder. Oh, okay, no, that wasn't it. Yeah, Rosa with a drop kick sending ladder into Britt Baker's face. She was bleeding like a stuffed pig. There was a lot of stuff that occurred during this matchup. I'm not going to go on a complete reading on what happened, but yeah, I believe there was that one spot, and I think it was Thunder Rosa who did that to Britt Baker, and she kind of was a little too close. She tossed her, and it was it looked kind of soft. It was very weak. It didn't look like it was natural. It looked very kind of like forced, or them trying to be extremely careful so they don't injure the other person, which is good. I'm glad they didn't, go out of their way just to injure the other, just to make that spot look great or something. But yeah, it was a good matchup. They used thumbtacks during this match, which was fucking unbelievable. And kudos to Britt Baker. She got powerbombed into fucking thumbtacks, pinned, and she still managed to kick out. I could not believe that shit. The reason why I say that is because it showed she was one tough hombre, one tough bitch, and she kicked out of that. And then Thunder Rosa was put in a submission hold by Britt Baker, which was Britt Baker's finishing maneuver, and they rolled into the thumbtacks with Rosa in a pin, and eventually this led to Thunder Rosa doing a Thunder Driver through the table on the floor, and she goes for the cover and gets the 1, 2, 3 for the ending of the match, of Thunder Rosa being the winner and more than likely the number one contender for Sheeta's AEW Women's Championship. Gotta say, guys, this was a fun show. Very good show. It had its moments here and there that I just did not care. But they did a good job here. I like the story that's being told with Moxley and Kingston against Kenny Omega. They're putting the Christian Cage thing on the back burner for now. Thank Christ for that. And they're going back to where they left off with Omega and Kingston and Moxley. I don't know if they're going to have Moxley added to the mix, or Kingston may end up being the guy to go after the world title. So I'm not sure yet. It's all depending on where they go with this, which I hope they make sense of. They may, more than likely, they're not going to go with fucking Kingston at Double or Nothing. I think that would be a very stupid move. I think Double or Nothing, personally, guys, should be taking place at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. I mean, if you're going to have WrestleMania on April 10th and April 11th with 40,000 fucking people, why not try to at least get 16,000 people to show up at stadium where there's people that can sit in any place around there, be far away from other people and only be around the people they know and care about, and sit there and enjoy a great show in front and actually have an audience for this, and also have a nice stage and make it feel like it's very important. I mean, Double or Nothing to me is WrestleMania for AEW. It was their very first pay-per-view to begin with. So why wouldn't you have a nice big stadium to perform in front of? If you want to stretch it a little more, get like 20,000 people to show up at the... I guarantee you, folks, I guarantee you can get at least 20,000 people to show up at that fucking event. I might even be one of them that would show up at that event because I like AEW more than fucking WWE. And to be quite frank with you, I think that would be a good idea for AEW to take advantage of. They got a nice big stadium. Why not try to perform there and get as many people they can where it's still safe for everyone to show up and people aren't going to be scared? I'll tell you what, folks, WrestleMania, I wouldn't dare go to that fucking event. They're thinking about fitting in 40,000 people. You think about this. We had, in the United States, I think with this pandemic virus, this virus has killed about 500,000 people. 500,000 people. And you want to sit 40,000 people 2 nights in a row sitting next to each other? Are you fucking insane? That's crazy. They should have maximum 25,000 people because they can stretch it all across the stadium and put people where put people around other people that they know And, you know, if hey, they made a mistake, they didn't know they had the virus, well, that's on them, I guess. But I'm sure they're going to check people out, make sure that they don't have the virus, you know, give them testing for that before they can even show up for the event. They probably have to show up an hour or two earlier before the event even starts for them to even do the test to see if they're okay to, you know, even go in the building. So, at the end of the day, guys, I mean, that really is insane. I don't feel comfortable. I would not feel comfortable showing up at the Raymond James Stadium knowing full well this thing is still going on with this virus. And on top of it, being that this fucking company has done such a horrible job building up WrestleMania, why the hell would I even care to waste my fucking money on it? Even if it's like $200 for a fucking ticket like it was the last time for me, which is what I was trying to go for. I paid a $275 ticket, one ticket, just by myself, going to this fucking event alone. And, because none of my friends even cared to even see this fucking event. My best friend Matt, he didn't even want to go. He said, fuck that, I'll see NXT TakeOver. That's what I care about. Fuck WrestleMania. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that damn TakeOver event, which absolutely fucking sucked. I wanted to see that so damn bad. That's when NXT was still good. No, guys, I mean, this whole situation with WrestleMania is not exactly what I would call safe. I think the idea of fitting 40,000 people at WrestleMania is completely nuts for both nights on top of it each. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. That is insane. But AEW, if they could get an okay to fit like 20,000 people, because let's be real, I don't think they would be able to get a lot of, 40 or 50,000 people to show up at that stadium. But then again, maybe they would, but I would show up if there was allowed to have 40 or 50,000 people there. Hell no. Fuck that. But, like 20,000 people, basically the same amount that you would fit in an arena. And I would be okay with that because that's a lot safer because you can spread out everyone who came there in groups with family and friends to go see that event. But, like I said before, anything above 20,000 is way too many fucking people with this being the way things are with this virus. I don't particularly find this to be safe or even rational for that matter. But at this time, guys, you know what to do. I'm done talking. I've talked over 40 fucking minutes. This has been almost an hour, 50 minutes, going on 51 minutes. So anyway, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. I thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys have a great night. Bye.